Welcome back. We're going to continue now on in the 16th week in Ordinary Time, and we're continuing from Mark's Gospel, and Amy's going to read.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So what's that quote, Amy, about come away by yourselves and rest for a while? Is that what it is?
Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while.
Okay, so that's a great line, and how many of us, when we hear that, go, oh yeah, that'd be nice. Even if we've been on vacation, it's amazing. Sometimes you go on vacation, and especially if you have kids, and if you have to board your animal, and you go to another country, and that would make me more anxious than work in some ways. That might not be true, but the rest part of it, I would be so. I would come back maybe tired, as potentially more tired than when I went, if it was all worked up like that. So it's hard for us to figure out that balance of rest and relaxation. And of course, seeing something new is very healthy for our psyche and for our emotional state. I said that last week a little bit with when they sent out the 15 to be brave. And sometimes when we travel, we do get into that. I have to have courage. I always know that I'm always like, oh God, I got to go travel and I don't want to go. And then when I come back, I'm all kind of charged up, like I want to go somewhere else now. It's kind of one of those things, and it's important for us to encourage ourselves to do that. But sometimes it's hard for us to figure out how we should be resting and how to relax. I was preaching last week, and I was someplace, and I heard an old country song, and I used the line from the country song in my homily. And now I thought of another one as Amy was reading from a different song. But the one last week that was, be careful when things are just what you want them to be. It's a nice warning to say, if everything's all right with the world and going your way and you're in charge, be very careful. And it's a nice way, and I won't go on and on about that one, but it's an interesting thing, because you would think of these old-timey good country. Sorry, it was that was my review of the new country. When you listen to good country, the kind my grandfather liked, now I like the old country. There's a lot of wisdom in that very often simple way of thinking about things. But the one song I was thinking about was the song. It's a song about, I think it's Merle Haggard, and I'm a rambling fever is what it is. He goes, I get rambling fever, and he leaves. He's always talking. It used to be a major theme in all of our the old country songs, that I'm going to just walk on the highway forever and ever and ever, and just always traveling, and I have no home. And there's a line in it where he says, I'm going to die along the highway and rest this rambling fever in my soul. Again, great wisdom, that he sees that someday he'll come to rest. And the song includes that. It's actually a little bit more graphic, but it's hard for me to even say the line, because it's kind of very stark way of talking about death in that very upbeat song. But there's this idea in us that there's a part of us that needs rest. There's certainly restlessness in the human condition. I have a very restless spirit in many ways, and I understand that way of looking at the world and that desire to keep moving. It's if it's not a literal moving, it's metaphorical, that we're never restless. We're always restless. We're never resting. And St. Augustine's famous quote, our hearts were made for thee, O Lord, and they're restless until they rest in thee. That could have been, it's basically Merle Haggard saying something many centuries later, similar, describing something that's unique, that's constant in human nature, and perhaps unique to humans. I suppose all living things have that restlessness because they're always growing and moving and changing, but human beings have this tremendous ability to reflect on it and to think about that. And when we rest in God. And that does not only mean death, but in this situation, when we're at work, can we ask God to sanctify our leisure and our rest? There's a great understanding of leisure in that it's the height of culture. It's the height of our life. That when we're playing golf and resting and sitting down and embracing our children perhaps, or just at least in their company together, that's the best thing we can do. That we can find some way to enjoy life is really a high calling of us, and how many of us have struggled with that. Just recently, one of my cousins asked me, what do you do for fun? And I was quite ashamed that I didn't really have an answer to the question. So I have to think about that and say, well, all of the things that, like, oh, you do music for fun, you do art for fun, but they're all work for me too. They're all things I have to accomplish and do. So they're not it's ceased to be leisure. And it's a great question for all of us. So as you ask yourself that, what do you do for fun? What do you do in your free time? Try and have an answer. Try and have a hobby. Try and have something that you enjoy. During the pandemic, I said everybody should go buy a musical instrument and learn how to play. With YouTube, you can do this now pretty successfully. Practice something, do something. You might not ever have this opportunity to do this again, with the world stopped for a little while as it was. Excuse me. So we always have to keep that in our minds and ask God to provide this place of rest that he invites us to in this reading. He invites these disciples, after working, to be with him, to be together with him, and to be in a state of union with him in terms of calming their restless spirits. I've asked you to walk into perhaps unknown and dangerous circumstances. I've asked you to shake the dust off your boots when you leave. If they reject you, I've asked you to accept the goodness of people. Now rest. Come and rest with me. So I hope that thought gives you as much comfort as it gives me, and I hope that you are able to, in your lives, find a place for being with God in that place of rest. And if you can't, it's worthy of a little bit of prayer and reflection. And jump in. If there's something you've always wanted to try to do, or a hobby that you always, it costs too much to do this, there's a way to do it, if it's worth it, in small ways and big ways. You don't have to go out and change everything just because you want to try one thing, but pray over it. And I encourage you to investigate those things. Some people, in answer to this, will often want to get more into their faith, or they want to read things and they want to do that. And I would suggest that is important, but also do something that seems unrelated. It's not unrelated. Nothing's unrelated to that. Do something else that will be healthy for you, that will appeal to your restless spirit, that will help you find some pleasure in the free hours that you might have. There was a great quote. We were at Chimay in Belgium, and there was one of the monks there, and he fixes books all day. So these old ancient books from all over Europe, from when they first started printing books and everything, and even before, would be bound, and people will send him ancient old books that the binding was falling apart and the spine were falling off, to be reworked. And he had learned how to do this, and he worked on the books in the morning when he woke up, and then he worked on the books in the afternoon. Then he said he worked on the books until 10 o'clock at night. And one of the kids that was with us says, "What do you do in your free time?" And he goes, "Well, all my time is free. I like working on the books." And it was a very healthy way of thinking about life, that this man, in a profound way, had taken what we think of as work and really infused it with the sense of leisure, of no hurry, no. He had accomplished much more than I do in my day to day. As much as I love it, he had figured out this wonderful way of making peace between his leisure and his work. We're not all there yet, so make sure you have some time to go to God in prayer and work on that in your life, so that we look at every hour as His, instead of, oh my God, I gotta get this done. Okay, so have a wonderful week, and thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.